Here we go. Have a great afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our workshop this time, the IELTS exam orientation. Now, my name is Janelle Quizan, or Teacher Neil. You can call me Teacher Neil. I am a certified IELTS trainer of London Teacher Training College. I've been teaching English for more than 14 years now. So kind of like have a good experience in teaching. So I teach both offline and online here in my country and abroad. I was also in Saudi Arabia, of course, and now I'm also associated, related with modern education. So there we go. Welcome to our workshop today. Now, to get started, what is the aim for this workshop? Well, simply to familiarize what is the IELTS all about, the IELTS exam, right? Uh, I think like all of you, if not all, most of you, if not all, would like to take the exam one day, right? So it is really good or really better that you know what's inside of the IELTS test. So because by knowing what's the inside of it, or the what it involves, then you'll be able to perform more confidently on your test day. Isn't it great? Okay, there we go. Now, before we proceed, I'd like here you can unmute. Anyone can actually unmute, or I could call your name. Now, I would ask first the question: how do you feel about exam? Yeah, exam in general. You can have your. Who would like to volunteer? You can raise your hand, even though you have no camera. Actually, you can also open your camera if you'd like to. Who would like to share something? How do you feel about exam? Sarah. Yes, Sarah, go ahead.
Yeah, hello, teacher Neil.
Yes.
Actually, I feel stressed because it's my first time planning to do my IELTS exam. So I feel stressed. I don't know where how to start, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing. Well, that's natural, Sarah. Like sometimes we feel like, oh, well, what should I do? Like I'm really stressed, like preparing for the exam, especially when you don't know exactly what to do. And that's one of the main purposes that we are here today for the workshop. We have to know what exactly we have to do in this particular exam. So one day, you'll be like that stress will be like will go away, and we'll just have like a smile, right? You'll be happy, excited, or confident taking the test. Thank you for sharing, Sarah. Who else? Sarah's brave enough to say something. See, uh, and she even said like she's stressed, like she's afraid, but right now she's showing to us that well, she's confident. She has got the confidence. Anybody else? One more from the okay, the male category. That's from the women section. Anybody from the male who's participating right now? Okay, iPad A. Is this a male or a female? You can unmute yourself if you'd like to share with us. Who's iPad A is raising the hand. So would you like to share? Yes. Okay, you can unmute yourself. Like us to unmute. Waiting. Still waiting. I'm asking you to unmute. You can unmute your laptop or your phone right now. And for those who are shy, a little bit shy to answer, well, how do you feel? I would like you to put on there on the chat. You can type, how do you feel about exam? Okay, so Sarah started like speaking, but others can share your feeling on the chat. Go ahead. You can chat if you're a bit shy, but um, I'm sure iPad AA. What's your name? If you can share, you can like if you can speak, it would be better. Oh, but it's not muted. Okay. Anyway, so to get going, we have different feelings when generally when we think about exam. It could be not the IELTS exam. It could be your exam, your how do you call this one? Normal or usual exam at school. It could be for some, for Sarah, that's like stressful, right? But for others, it could be like what? Uh, you feel like dying, tiring. What else? Um, you show your emotion
Right.
for you're afraid. Uh-huh. You worry about the exam, right? But others would be glad to take the exam. Ah, yes, iPad AA. Yes, you're already. Go ahead. You can share.
Yes,
Terrified. Yeah.
I feel
Yes.
afraid.
Uh-huh. You feel.
So,
Go ahead.
yeah, I feel afraid.
Oh, you're afraid. Yes, exactly. Who's not afraid of the exam here? Thank you for sharing. What's your name? Because
Amal,
again,
Amal.
Amel. Okay, there you go. Thank you for sharing. And Hadil on the chat, he said, um, "I'm terrified." So there you go. We have a lot of like emotions or feelings, but for some, I'd like to ask, who's excited when we speak about exam? Are you excited? Are you happy? Do you feel like, wow,
I
I'm
don't
ready?
think, Mr. Junel.
Nobody's like excited for the exam.
No one excited to take exam. Most of them, they
Yeah,
have to take
most of
it.
us.
Yeah,
Exactly,
and
Mr.
I
Abdullah.
just want to say, like, for those who, I'm sorry, Mr. Janelle, to interrupt. For those who are like afraid or like worried about the exam, it is like as a feeling, it is a negative feeling, but as a result, or as a factor, it is a good factor, but because it will, force us to work harder. So it is okay to feel afraid. It is okay to feel like, a little bit, worry about the exam, because this is the things that, you know, make us like work harder to not relax. I have been through this experience, so I understand exactly what is their feeling. So yeah, thank you.
Yes, that's true, Mr. Abdullah. Exactly. We all have that kind of feeling. In an expression, some people would say, "I always feel some like butterflies in my stomach," like you feel like uneasy, right? You feel like fish out of water. You're uncomfortable. But we
Correct.
have to fight. We have to how do you call that? To go beyond that situation for us to face the exam with confidence instead. Okay.
Correct.
I hope
Right.
everyone is like at home right now. So this is just the start, but don't worry, I won't give you like a difficult exam. Oh, so there's a hint that there could be an exam, probably, but don't be afraid. Okay, let's do it together. Now let's move in. Moving on. Now go to our main topic. It's about the IELTS. So we are here. Now, what is the IELTS? Okay, you can read there. So you can also listen. Listening is one way of like learning, that you can learn the pronunciation, the enunciation, but at the same time, of course, like the way you speak, for example, or the information you have to digest. So IELTS is the International English Language Testing System. And it is the world's most popular English language test. And that is why we are here to know what is this all about, right? Then it is developed by some of the world's leading experts in language assessment and evaluates all of your English skills. Like what are those? The four macro skills: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Then the test reflects on how well you use the English to study, work, and live in an English speaking environment. And that is why you are assessed. You are evaluated. Then IELTS is good to know that accepted by more than 10,000 organizations in over 140 countries. And these organizations include governments, academic institutions, and employers. In the US alone, it's about 3,400. Oh, there you go. Now, in most countries where English is the main language, you need the evidence of English language skills for you to apply a job or for you to apply a course in a university. So that is a requirement. Proving your English language skills with an IELTS test can help you get a better job or a promotion in your home country. It is also possible. And of course, as well as like being accepted in a prestigious university abroad. Your IELTS test result will help you meet your immigration requirements if you, that's for like for work purposes, because all immigration authorities that require English language tests will accept this IELTS. So when we are speaking about IELTS, there are two types of IELTS. What are those? Academic and general training. Now, most of you probably are students and would like to pursue like undergraduate or master's degree or post degree studies abroad, then you would go for academic. And for those who would like to just apply for work, then you go for general training. Listening and speaking are the same for both. Like there are two types, right? So for academic and general training, speaking and listening, just the same. But the subject matter, reading and writing sections differs. So depending on which test you take, we'll find that out. Let's get started with listening. Okay. Now, this is listening. I'd like you to listen carefully, to be attentive right now. So I won't be asking questions because this is listening. So I'd like you to just listen carefully. The IELTS listening test is designed to assess a wide range of listening skills, including how well, first, on how well you understand main ideas and specific factual information. Second, recognize the opinions, attitudes, and purpose of a speaker. And then follow the development of an argument. Oh, there is like a sequence that you have to know. Yes, you have to take note of that. Now, in listening section, you listen to 4 recordings of native English speakers. Then you have to write your answer according to what the question is asking you about. Recording 1, usually this is a conversation between 2 people in like a social context or everyday life, for example. In recording 2 or section 2 of this, the listening, would be a monologue. What is a monologue? Like talking to you. Somebody's just talking by himself or by herself. Nobody's interrupting or not between 2, but just one person speaking or talking about, again, a social context or everyday life. So it could be a speech about local facilities, something like that. Then section 3 of the listening would be another conversation between up to 4 people. This could be like in an educational context or concept. So it could be a university tutor with a student discussing about something like an assignment. So that what you would expect in section 3 of the listening. And the 4th one is another monologue. What is this? You can expect like a professor in the university discussing, just like me, discussing right now. So it could be like that. It could be, it would vary, uh, like different topics, but that could be related to university topics or academic, most probably. Okay, so that would be the content for the listening section. Now, what's the timing for the listening? Well, it would allow you, when you take the listening test, about 30 minutes, or it could be 30 minutes to 35 minutes. It depends on how long actually the entire section. Uh, then you'll have 10 minutes. Someone is okay, okay, okay. And then you have 10 minutes there to transfer your answer after like reading, or like having uh, listening, after listening to the audio given for the section. Now, that is for the paper-based test. It could not in a computerized, because nowadays we have the computer-based test for the IELTS. It could be a different story. Now, you have 40 questions to answer. What are the types of questions that you may encounter? Well, you can read it there. It could be from multiple choice, matching, plan, map, diagram, labeling, form or node, table, flow chart, summary completion, or sentence completion. So it could be for those types of questions that may come out in the exam. And then how it is being evaluated or marked? Well, of course, each one receives a score of the total of 40, because there are 40 items, right? And that would be later on converted to the 9-band scale. That's why we hear of like, oh, my band score in the IELTS is like 6, 7, 8, or 9, or something like that, right? So it could be also like with a half band score. It could be 8.5, 6.5, 5.5. So it would vary. It depends on your performance. Now, the listening, okay, this is how it is done. Before the start of each part of the listening test, I'd like you to listen carefully, because right after this, I'll be giving you an activity. So you have to listen carefully, like how it is done. Now, before the start of each part of the listening test, you will have some time to read the question. Oh, don't worry, not like you have time, right, to read it. Then after the end of each part of the listening test, you'll have some time to review your answer. Oh, not that difficult, right? And at the end of the listening test, you'll have 2 minutes to check your answer. Now, this is for the entire section. When you are taking the exam in uh, the the IELTS Center. But today we won't be doing that. Of course, it takes time, right? I'll just give you a simple exercise. Are you ready? Not yet. Take note, okay? So, are you afraid for the exercise? Don't be afraid. Now, please note that in the computerized delivered listening test, the timings are slightly different from the paper-based test. So, as I said a while ago, we already have the computerized one. So because in the paper based, you still have like 10 minutes to transfer your answer, but actually in the computerized, it's kind of be redundant to do that. So it's somehow different. You might be surprised, like, why in the paper based I had time to transfer my answer, and then here in the computerized it's kind of different. Okay, now, are you all ready? How many of us right now? 22. Okay, we are all 22 now. So I'd like everyone to participate with this. This is very easy. If you have any pen or paper, pen and paper or pencil, right there, you can grab something. You can go ahead, because we'll do an activity. Oh, this is very easy. Okay, so grab a paper and a pen and have it with you, because we will do a little bit of a drill in the listening. Okay, there are how many? Oh, there are only 4. So don't be afraid. That's as easy as pie. It's just a piece of cake. It means that's very easy. So, are you ready? Do you have your paper and pen right now? Okay, because you have to take down notes. I'll play. Yes. Ready. Hadil is very ready. Yes. Okay, you just tell me whether I think it can be heard, right? Hopefully, it can be heard. I'll start now. Get ready.
Section 1. You will hear a man telephoning a sports club to ask about membership and facilities. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 4. You will see that there is an example that has been done for you. On this occasion only, the conversation relating to this will be played first.
Good morning. Oh, sorry. It's gone 12. I'll start again. Good afternoon. Kingswell Sports Club. How can I help you?
Oh, good afternoon. I was wondering if you could give me some information about membership and facilities.
The name of the sports club is Kingswell, so Kingswell has been written in the space. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4.
Good morning. Oh, sorry. It's gone 12. I'll start again. Good afternoon. Kingswell Sports Club. How can I help you?
Oh, good afternoon. I was wondering if you could give me some information about membership and facilities.
Of course. What would you like to know?
Do you have tennis courts, for example?
No, I'm afraid we don't. We're primarily a golf club.
What about football? I heard you had a team.
No, I'm sorry. Perhaps you're thinking about Fresham Sports Centre.
Oh, right. I know it. I've played badminton there.
Have you? They've got a lot of facilities we don't have, and vice versa. We do have a Keep Fit studio, which is very popular with members, and then as well as that, there's swimming, of course.
That's good. I like to swim every day.
We have a range of classes, too.
Do you have judo classes? I'm keen to learn.
Well, at the moment, we offer kickboxing. We're planning to add judo and stretch classes soon. We're currently running a range of yoga classes, too.
What about relaxing after exercise? I assume you have a restaurant or something?
At the moment, we've got a salad bar, which is very popular. We'll also have a fully licensed restaurant by the end of the year.
Sounds good.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions.
There we go. Now, I'll give you like a minute to put your answer on the chat box. Let's see who got it right. Are we all ready? I would reveal the answer. I guess like someone here, Hadil, has swimming, yoga, salad bar. Number 1 is missing. Sarah has swimming and yoga. Mariam has the swimming. What for the facilities? Swimming, yeah. Then yoga, sauna. Who else? Swimming, yoga. Mary Christine is a fit studio, a swimming and judo. Badminton, swimming, yoga, and salad bar. I guess nobody has got all 4 correct answers, but that's a great try. Some have like 2 or 3 correct answers. Were you confused with a good morning, not good afternoon? Usually in the IELTS listening test, there's always like a trick. Like just at the beginning, like the first speaker was like, "Good morning." Oh, no, it's already noon. Good afternoon. So there we go. Let's reveal the answer. Let's see who got it. The first one is, yeah, Fit Studio, but actually the right answer is Keep Fit. Now you can have like, that's optional, like the studio. You can put Keep Fit Studio or a Keep Fit Studio. But so if you just write Fit Studio, it's wrong. Okay, it's not acceptable. Number 2 is swimming, correct. Number 3 is yoga class, or you can just say yoga. That's already acceptable. Then or yoga classes. Then salad bar. That's the correct answer, or a salad bar. Who got a perfect score? Nobody. That's a good try, at least. Thank you for your participation. Right, there you go. IELTS listening is very specific with what is there, what you have heard. Okay, so that is why, like, oh, it's like the same, like maybe like Fit Studio, but the right answer is Keep Fit, even without the studio, because that's the the facility, the main thing. So okay, there you go. Thank you. Now, for more for more, how do you call this one, tips or strategies for the listening, let's listen to this.
Perhaps the main problem encountered by test takers is knowing what to listen for. Here's a secret. It's not necessary to focus hard on everything you hear. If a test taker tries to do this, it's easy to get lost, so it's better to concentrate only on the parts of the recording containing the information needed to answer a question successfully. One of the most important skills to help in this is called listening for a particular reason. To make sure we understand the question, we underline its key words and then predict what we need to listen for. This gives us a reason to listen by prompting us to focus only on what we need to listen for, rather than paying equal attention to every word. Let's take a look at this example question where two mountaineers, John Graham and Mike Davis, are being questioned by a radio interviewer about their recent successful climb of Mount Annapurna in the Philippines. The example question is, complete the summary below. Write no more than 2 words and or a number for each answer. John and Mike reached the summit of Annapurna at 3:45 in the afternoon in bright sunshine and sub-zero temperatures, but they were too blank following their success to pay much attention to the weather conditions. Let's listen to the interview.
So, John, can you remember how you felt the moment you reached the summit?
Well, just before we got there, Mike had been complaining that we'd never make it before dark and we should turn back to camp. But we carried on and, sure enough, about 30 minutes later, we found ourselves standing at the summit in full sun and icy air. But all we felt was overjoyed that we'd made it to the top.
So, in this example, you only need to find information about how the climbers felt after reaching the summit. Everything else can be ignored. So, using prediction, we can be reasonably sure we are looking for words which describe extreme happiness. And this gives us the word we're looking for, overjoyed. So you see, with this one simple tip, you're prepping your brain and ears to latch onto the most important words for the question and improving your score. If you're looking for more listening practice, try listening to English language radio or podcasts so you can get used to hearing different kinds of speech.
Okay, the reading section. So hopefully like almost everyone is here. Let's continue with the second one. Let's have now the reading section. So reading, do you like reading? That's the question. Maybe most of us would like to sleep when the topic is about reading. Who can read
Right.
here from start to finish, like a book from start to finish, from cover to cover?
I
I
think
hate
no one.
no one.
That's include the author, Mr. Junel, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like.
Uh,
I,
Mr. Junel, I'm sorry to ask this a question. Is it so
yes.
common? I feel like most of our students here in the Middle East are struggling with the reading part specifically. Am I right? And is there like a reason?
Well, I guess I'm not so sure with that, but there was a survey in Saudi Arabia when I was still there with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia Association with Language Teachers. There was like one of the speakers had that thing that mostly in the survey, most students there in Saudi Arabia are really like poor in reading or like they hate reading. So,
This is.
but yeah.
Mhm. Keep going. I'm sorry.
No worries. You can interrupt. We have not started yet. Yeah, this is primarily because like, well, even I myself, I don't like reading. Like, I like especially long text, like a
Yeah.
book. No, I'm not a bookworm. But there are people who love reading.
Right.
So
That
go
correct.
ahead.
But in especially in reading with IELTS, there is like certain skills that our student can like acquire, to get the highest score that they might get, right?
In
Right.
the structured test, yeah, there could be some techniques. There could be like later we'll have some tips in that, like from also like I have a video for some techniques, and let's also have a little bit of like exercise for the reading to find out
No.
whether we can apply that one or like whether it works or not. So something like that, because in the IELTS reading, for example, whether you like it or not, it's really long text.
Correct.
Like for the general reading, it's okay, but still like the third passage there of the general reading is like still longer one. So
Right.
anyway, um, but there are some people, a few, who love reading and they're good at it. So let's find out what we can do.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
So
yes.
let's move on to the next section, the reading section. You can raise your hand if you hate reading, if you love
If
reading.
you
So
want
what
to
is
reveal it, huh?
uh-huh. So what's the reading section in the IELTS? Now, the most important thing actually is in any test or structured test, academic test, what you have to do is to find out what's exactly inside of that particular section. Like this one, for example, the reading section. Because if you don't know, for example, I'm a teacher and I don't really know what's inside of that, then I could not also tell my student like how to attack a particular a problem or like a question in the reading section. So it is very important that we have to know what to do, or like what are those types of questions that you may encounter. Okay. Now there could be general uh, techniques like how you can find the answer. We will find that out also. Now, basically, what is this reading in the IELTS? Well, the first one there, you will need to read quickly and efficiently and manage your time. Now, our number one enemy here is time. We have longer passages, and then you have to fight with time. And that is why it is not advisable in the IELTS reading or any other academic longer passages, for example, to read everything. Now, if you are a fast reader, probably you can read everything, but you can have another technique rather than reading everything before you answer. Then you'll be asked to read 3 different passages. Remember, there are 3. Okay, and then you have to respond into like different questions, of course, related in the IELTS reading test. Now, the content of the reading is different for the academic and the general training. Now, general training, of course, it's kind of a bit easier, but if you don't have the right formula, the right technique, or like you don't have any background, you don't, how do you call it, exercise or practice at all, then you won't succeed for that. Now, in reading, especially in the IELTS, this is designed to assess a wide range of reading skills, including how well you first read for general sense of a passage, read for the main ideas, for detail. Okay, somebody's unmuted. Okay. To understand inferences and implied meaning, recognize a writer's opinions, attitude, or purpose, follow the development of an argument. Yeah, those things that you have to remember or to take note when we are in this section. So sometimes it's nosebleed. uh, anyway, we have to endure that one. So again, in the reading section, there are 3 long passages that you may have. It could be descriptive or factual, factual to discursive or analytical thing, kind of type of reading. So it could be from the books, journals, magazines, or newspaper. For the general training, usually from magazines or newspaper. But for academic, mostly academic text from the books or from like the university. Then on the timing for this, you have 60 minutes for the reading. At least you have an hour. You got 40 questions. So at least like if you maximize the 60 minutes, right, you can have a minute and a half. Is my mathematics correct? So a minute and a half for each question, 40 questions. Then there you go. The types of questions could vary. It could be like there could be in the table or you match the headings, for example. There's a diagram or charts or complete sentences to give a short answer or to open questions, or could be a multiple choice. That's the somehow kind of easier. And again, this is marked by each question. It could be like have like 1.40 points, so 40 questions there, and that would be translated into the IELTS band score, the scale, okay, like 1 to 9. Now, see, reading, I don't want to have a like, I don't want you to read. This is just short for the reading. Let's go first for the like what to do in certain questions. For example, there are types of questions that from the British Council that this guy would be talking about. I'd like you to listen right now. You take down notes and try to remember the strategy, because I might give you an exercise applying the strategies or one of the strategies that this guy will be talking about. So, okay, let's listen.
In this video, we're going to look at how to approach the IELTS reading test and give you some tips to get your best score. There are a number of question types found in the IELTS reading test. These include gap filling, multiple choice, true, false, not given, matching headings, identifying a writer's opinion, classifying and labeling. Whatever type of question test takers face, there is one skill you can apply to all of them. This is the skill of surveying. Before describing the methods involved in surveying successfully, it is important to understand what test takers should not do. That is, never read a whole passage of text. There are 2 reasons for this. First, there isn't time. Second, It should never be necessary to read more than 2 or 3 sentences to answer a question successfully. Developing the skill of surveying helps test takers locate sentences and information they need to find quickly. How do we apply the skill of surveying to the reading test? Test takers need to be aware of the reason for doing an activity, in this case, reading. The reason is contained in the question itself. So, rather than immediately turning the page and engaging in close reading or detailed understanding, test takers need to spend time looking closely at the question themselves in order to understand exactly what is required. Then, as in other components of the IELTS test, a good start is to underline the key words in a question. Let's look at this question from a text about a famous invention.
In which city did Al-Fazari invent his astrolabe?
What are the key words in this question? The key words are city, Al-Fazari, and astrolabe. After underlining these key words, test takers should read the question again to understand what information they need to find. In other words, identify their reason for reading. In this example, test takers should look in the passage for the name of the city where Al-Fazari invented the astrolabe. Only after this is it time to turn the page in the question booklets and begin the process of surveying the text. Test takers should skim and scan the text to find the name of the city which could represent the correct answer. There is sure to be more than one in a text like this. Identifying the names of cities in this way helps test takers locate the information they are looking for. With each city found, test takers then need to consider the other key words. In this case, Al-Fazari, invent, and astrolabe to see if these occur close to the name of the particular country they have identified. If they do, this will make it likely that the activity was carried out in that location. If not, they will need to keep looking. Test takers should ask themselves, which of these words is least likely to change in the text? In this question, good choices would be Al-Fazari and astrolabe, because proper nouns cannot be represented by synonyms and must remain unchanged. However, you need to make sure that the passage you are looking at is not just about Al-Fazari's life, rather than the city where he worked. If it is just about the inventor, his name will occur many times and test takers may need to look elsewhere to find the correct name of the city where the invention took place. Academic words are also good choices because they are not commonly used in everyday speech and will not usually be changed to a synonymous form in IELTS. So, a word like invented or invention would be a good choice. After finding the key words, underline the sentence and read it carefully to make sure you have now found the correct answer. So, in summary, read the question, underline the key words, read the key words again to understand your reason for reading. After finding the reason, select key words to skim and scan for. Try and choose academic words or proper nouns as these are generally unchanged. Underline the sentence where the key words occur and check your answer. Surveying in true, false, yes, no, or not given questions can be quite difficult. This is mainly because it is often hard to understand the difference between false and not given. So it's important to clarify the difference between the two. Consider the information given in this extract from a reading text.
If your child is not going to school today, you have to call the office.
The question accompanying this extract reads, is the following sentence true, false, or not given? If your child is absent, the office will call you. In this example, the answer is not given because the text says you have to call the office and the question says the office will call you. However, you do not know whether the office will call you or not because this information is not contained in the text. Therefore, it is not given and this is the correct answer. Remember that for an answer to be false, there must be a direct contradiction between what the text states and what the question says. It is important that test takers understand the contradictions are mainly expressed in two ways. either by using negative words such as might occur with the text stating the office will call you and the question saying the office will not call you, or by using an antonym. An example of this would be seeing Kingston is a large city in a text and Kingston is a small city in the question. Large and small are antonyms, i.e. they have opposite meanings. So we have a contradiction between the text and the question, which means that false is the correct answer. Now that we have clarified the difference between false and not given, let's look at another example taken from a passage on famous astronomers. This example reads,
Edmund Halley observed one transit of the planet Venus.
as before, the first thing to do here is to underline the key words. The key words are Halley observed one transit Venus. After underlining the keywords, turn the statement into a direct question. This will produce the question, did Edmund Halley observe one transit of the planet Venus? Turning the statement into a question like this helps test takers clearly understand the reason why they are completing this exercise. In this case, they are looking for a yes or no answer to the question. Did Halley observe one transit of the planet Venus? After turning the statement into a question, test takers should look at the keywords again and, as before, select ones to skim and scan for. Again, the same rule applies, i.e., when skimming and scanning for a word, choose academic words if possible. Here, the most likely words would be observed, transit, and planet Venus. So, as before, skim and scan very quickly. Don't read the text for understanding. Find the word observe, underline the sentence, and then read the sentence carefully to understand what the sentence is saying. Once you have read the sentence, go back to the question and ask yourself, do I have the information I need? Is the sentence telling me that Halley observed one transit of the planet Venus or not? If you cannot find this information, you should read the next sentence. Most likely, the information will be there. If not, skim and scan again, and the chosen word and the information needed will be further down in the text. In the text, the key words from the question all occur close together in the third sentence of the paragraph. They are preceded by a negative outcome, signaled by the phrase, Halley was not able to. By skimming and scanning for the key words and close reading of the entire sentence, it is clear that the answer to the question, did Halley observe one transit of the planet Venus, is no, and any statement to the contrary would be false. So, in summary, contradictions in true, false, or yes-no questions are expressed by using negative words or antonyms. If there is no contradiction and the information is missing, not given is the correct answer. In true, false, or yes-no questions, turn the question statement into a direct question. This will help you understand what you are looking for, so you need to practice reading no more than 2 or 3 sentences per question. Otherwise, use the same surveying skills as before. Very often, test takers complain that they do not have enough time, but this happens when they read more than is necessary to successfully answer a question. So, you need to establish the idea of reading no more than 2, maximum 3 sentences per question, and using the skill of surveying to find the information you need. This will help enormously in ensuring that you become accustomed to using time more effectively. One of the most important considerations for any test takers to bear in mind when taking the IELTS test. So there you have it. Tips that will help you improve your IELTS reading score. Try putting these tips into practice every day and visit takeielts.org/prepare to find more prep material for your IELTS test.
Was it clear? Did you get like some tips or ideas what to do in your reading? Like especially for the one one of the most difficult ones, like true, false, not given. That's it's very challenging for most students to answer that one, right? So very clear, right? Then the first thing, as I mentioned a while ago, before we started this one, the reading section, you don't need to read everything because your enemy is time. So you were given the tip, like what to do exactly, right? So look for the keywords. You survey that one, you use the skim and scanning methods. There you go. And then you can, for the keywords, you can have like those words like, um, how do you go, academic words, for example, that could be a good keyword there, or some like proper nouns in there. So you can apply. So let's try to apply. Yes, underline the keywords. Very good. You have to underline the keywords, and you have to read just like 2 to 3 sentences. Don't go beyond that because it really takes time. And then reading would be really boring if you read everything. So that's the strategy, and let's try to apply that strategy. Okay, right now I'll be sending. Okay, I'll stop the screen share first because I'll be sending you a text, Google Docs for the reading passage. So a moment, I'll send it in the chat. The reading, you can click this one. Hopefully you can access that one. It's in the chat. Kindly just click that one. It would lead you to the reading passage I prepared. So for us to have a little exercise for our reading. Now, just tell me if you don't have, you can't access, but hopefully you can open it. It would lead you to the Google Docs of the reading passage. The title of the reading is A Rage. Yes, I can see people there opening the, how many people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. There are 5 people. How about the others? Are you not able to open it? So that's the text. It's kind of long, and actually the questions are also there. So this is a sample for the true, false, not given. Now what you have to do, don't answer there on the text. I'll give you time for this. How many questions? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 4, 6. So okay, I'll give you 10 minutes for that. Actually, like 1 minute and something, or less than 10 minutes. 8 minutes could be, but 10 minutes to solve this one. If you're already on the passage, no, the questions there also on the second page, but I can show you the question also here on the screen. The one on the screen right now are just the questions, and then the passage is in Google Docs. Kindly check the message box. Your time has started already. 10 minutes. Once you have got the answer, for example, if you're done with your reading exercise, you can put your answer on the chat box again. Were you able to apply the strategy for the true, false, not given? It's like all you have to remember when what is false? It's totally the direct opposite, the contradictory of what the passage is talking about, and then the question is really the opposite of it. That's false. But not given if it's not mentioned. Simply it's not mentioned there in the passage, or it's a missing link there. We're not sure whether it's true or not, then that is not given. So it's time we have to proceed. Let's check your answer. Yes, Mariam has already given. Oh, you have different answers. Right? For number 1, what's got false? I mean number 9. Somebody said false. Somebody said true. Okay, that's okay, Ethar. If you're not able to open the page, you can actually access that one anytime. Okay. Okay. Let's find out. Okay, thank you for your participation. Let's see how many if you got the perfect score. Yes, there you go. Somebody's like, okay. There. You can see it, right? Number 9, false. You got it right. Yes. Yes, a lot of people now like just send their like, okay, 9, that's in paragraph A. Okay, so the plane was registered, but it was not clear where it was registered. And then for number 10, who got correct answer for number 9? You got false, 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 false. Yes, a lot of people got it. There you go. Number 10 is not given, or number 2. Okay, that's paragraph B. Okay, how many got it correct? Not given, not given. Yes, that's not given. Oh, I think you were able to, somebody said false. It's not given. Okay. But most of you said it's not given for number 10. Okay. Oh, very good. Most of those who gave their answers had this not given. Yes, the missing link does not say who collected. Number 11, that's true. Who answered true for number 11? That's paragraph D. Yes, true, 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 true. Uh-oh, somebody said false. Number 11, it's true. Okay, it's why is it number 11 is like number 3. Okay, that's in the table in paragraph D. And then number 12 is true. True, true, true. What's number 12? That's number 4 already, right? So true, 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 true. Okay, most of you got it correct. Then 13 is another not given. Not given, not given. Okay, very good. False, false. No, not given. Still like false, false. No, it's not given. Number 13. Then number 14 is false again. It's another false. Paragraph I. False, 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 false. We're not given. False, 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 false. Okay, now you have different answers, but most of you got the correct ones. So it means to say you're able to apply the thing. Now, the only thing that you have to remember, again, what is true? when it is really clearly stated in the passage. It is there. When you look at the keywords, for example, then you read that one and yeah, somebody like said like I should be giving like some candies, right? Who got it right? Virtual candies. Chocolates. Okay. Mr. Abdullah can give you virtual chocolates. Okay. So yeah. And then again, like take note of that. Like in the video, it was very clear. When it is not given, it could be it's the missing link. It's not there. You're not really sure whether it's true or not, because there is no like, how do you call that one? The fact or the evidence there. Sometimes with not given, it could be there generally, but or specific. It could be generally stated, but in the question that is very specific. So that's still like not given. And then, okay, but thank you for your participation for the reading. So now I think reading is not that difficult anymore when you know a little bit or like some strategies on how to approach a certain question, a type of question, for example, right? But for most of the reading sections, like the types of questions, actually, the best strategy is, yeah, the first one, keywords. Always look for keywords. And then you survey that one by doing skimming and scanning. And then you apply a certain strategy, for example, for true, false, not given. So you can apply those kind of strategies. Here we go. We're done with the reading. Yes,
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Abdullah.
How was the reading section? Were we wrong, or it was like?
Like a lot actually got almost the correct answers for this
Oh, okay.
particular question. So like, yeah,
Good
because
job. Good job.
again, in the true false not given, that's the thing that you should remember. Yeah, Sarah, thank you. She said, I like this method. Yes, because that's the thing that you have to remember always. So first, keywords, you underline the keywords, you look for the keywords in the question. So the approach should not be reading the whole text, because it would take you time. It would kill your time. So what you have to do is go directly to the questions. Look for keywords for each question. When you have the keywords, go to the passage, survey. Surveying, you use skimming and scanning with your keywords. Once you find it, go back to the question and apply the strategy, whether is it really true, is it false, or is it not given? And there you go, you can get the answer. So with this strategy, most of you, like a while ago, like most of you got it. Okay, so that's kind of effective. You can learn more of these, of course, when you are in a class. This is just an orientation, like a workshop. So it's just like, how do you call this one? It's just the icing. Okay, there you go. Thank you for your participation for the reading, and congratulations for your answers. Yeah, nobody got a perfect mark. It needs practice, of course, okay?
Which is okay. No one is, we don't expect like everyone. That's include, even the highest, level people in here to get a full mark, right, Mr. Janelle? Even in the
Yeah,
exam, don't to freak out if you
yes.
don't know the answer. It is
Hmm.
okay. But Mr. Janelle, correct me if I'm wrong. I sometimes, like, even if I don't understand the answer, I don't waste my time like trying to figure it out. I always like move to the next answer so that I can, save my time for the answers that I
Exactly.
know.
That is correct. That's another strategy. Look for, like, you think like I can I can easily answer this type of questions. There are different questions, the degree of difficulties. Now you look for like the type of question that you think you can easily answer. Go for it first, and then later on you go back for like those difficult ones.
Right, because
So
time is so limited, especially for those
exactly.
who tried IELTS before, guys. You will feel like this is your main enemy. The time is really not in your side when it comes to doing IELTS exam or any type of, similar exams like IELTS. Thank you, Mr. Janelle.
Hmm. Okay, just let me have my timer. Let's move on to the next section, the writing section. Wow, writing. Who wants to write? Do you like writing or you hate it? Oh, Lena doesn't like writing. Almost everyone doesn't want writing. Yeah, especially when you don't know exactly what to do, right? Almost everything in life, no. Uh, Sometimes like it's really like frustrating when you do something, especially when you write something and you don't know exactly what you're doing. And that is why it is very important, the whatever it is, like the question maybe, or the topic, the you have your own way of like expressing yourself. Now writing could be like almost similar to speaking, but this is kind of in a formal way. Speaking is could be informal, right? But when we are speaking of writing in the IELTS, it is a formal writing. And especially when you write an essay, it could be frustrating when you don't know how to do your introduction effectively, your body, and the conclusion. Well, the good thing is here in modern education, we teach like writing and speaking for the IELTS. So if you are in a class, for a regular class, then you would know the methods on how to write the body, for example, or a specific method for writing an introduction in no time. You don't have to spend a lot of time because, again, in writing, time is our greatest enemy. So we have to know that. So let's get started. Now, with writing, oh, what happened? There. Is this the one? Wait just a moment. Here. Okay. Now, the IELTS writing is designed to assess a wider range of writing skills, including how well you, first of all, write a response appropriately. Maybe you know how to write something, but if you don't follow exactly what the task is asking you about, you won't get a good score in writing. Then you, of course, it evaluates how you can organize ideas and the range of vocabulary and grammar, like that you can do or you can apply. So it must be accurate. It does not need to be like, oh, I must be an expert in grammar, or like I have um, what stock knowledge of words, like vocabulary, a lot of collocations or expressions. Not necessarily. Okay, most important thing that you're able um, to write, to apply those structures accurately. Now, in writing, here in the IELTS, you have to write a formal style in academic writing test. Then we start with academic because in writing we have a general training and we have the academic. Now in academic training, in task one, usually or most of the time you'll see graphs, tables, charts, diagrams, and then your task is to describe, to summarize, to explain the information in your own words. So not just copying, but you have to, it's very important, the skill of paraphrasing, that you know how to paraphrase. You can say something in your own words. Then this could involve describing or explaining data, describing stages of process. So there are different types. In task one, there are two types of tasks in writing, whether it's academic or general. But for academic, for example, in task one alone, there are also different types of questions or types of questions there that you would be given. In task two, that would be writing an essay. Now here, of course, you have your point of view, your argument, you might encounter like a problem, a solution. You can have like a two-part question essay, could be advantages, disadvantages, outweigh essays. There are also different types of essay. And that is why if you take the IELTS without proper reviewing or without preparation at all, it's not easy to achieve your target score in writing, because you have to familiarize the different types. And during the exam, only one type would be given to you. In the academic writing, okay, the timing is like for task one, that would be 20 minutes. For task two, for the essay, 40 minutes. Now you can either, it's up to you. You can have the strategy. You can write first task two and then later task one. You can also do that one, though the sequence, it could be task one to task two, but you can, it depends on your strategy. If you like to write task two first, you can do it. Then you just have to manage your time. Yeah, two questions, the question types there. Okay, I already mentioned. Now for task one, normally or usually you're asked to write at least 150 words, 150. And that is why before taking the exam, try to write something in task one. It's 100, it should be 150. Okay, at least that's the minimum. And for task two, 250. So it is very important to practice first before attempting the exam. Then, of course, that would be evaluated. There will be like the criteria for that, how your writing will be evaluated, and it would turn into the band scores. For the general training, if you are taking this one for immigration purposes, for example, now this is kind of easier compared to the academic. Okay, in task one, what you have to do is just writing a letter. Oh, do you know how to write a letter? And who knows how to write a letter here? So it could be formal, it could be informal, or it could be semi-formal. Okay, semi or semi-formal letters. So it is important that you know how to write each style. So in the exam, it would be easier. But for task two, it's almost the same with the academic writing an essay. Okay, well, usually the topics here for general, it's not that difficult. Unlike the academic ones, mostly there are different types of essays that may come out. I like one of those that may come out, and then the topics could be more of course, into academic setting or context. Now, here we go. For writing, the same thing for general and academic, the same thing, the timing, 20 minutes for task one, 40 minutes for task two. And then task times, the same thing also, 150 words and 250 words for task two, right? Now, take note, in the criteria, like marking, the grading, or like the scoring, for example, take note that task two is graded or evaluated or given more emphasis, like more points than task one. And that is why I said a while ago, you can actually just, you can go first with task two accomplish your task 2 and then the remaining time for your task 1. But again, it is your strategy. And for more strategy, let's listen to this. This is for writing task 1, both academic and general training.
In this video, I'm going to give you some tips on how to improve your IELTS writing performance. We're going to look at how to approach task 1 of both the IELTS general training and academic writing tests, and even have a model answer for you to learn from. Let's start with general training. Task 1 of the IELTS general training writing test involves writing either a formal or informal letter according to the instructions given in the task question. Let's take a look at the informal letter, which is generally written for a close friend or family member. This question is typical of the informal letter task in the first part of the IELTS general training test. You should spend about 20 minutes on this task. You should write at least 150 words. So, you have just been offered a place on a short training course in a small seaside town where a friend of yours is living. Write a letter to your friend. In your letter, number 1, greet your friend and tell him or her the good news about the course. Number 2, ask your friend about life in a seaside town. Number 3, arrange a time to visit your friend before you start the course. So, let's see what a model answer that would achieve a band score of 8 to 9 would look like. Dear Henry, how are you? I hope you're doing well. I have some exciting news. I've just been accepted on the hotel management training course run by your local college. It's a 3-month course which involves visiting the tourist sites in your area. That's great, of course, but what I'm most excited about is being able to spend some time with you exploring your town. I've never lived in a seaside town before, so I'm keen to find out what life is like there. I imagine the people are really friendly. But what about entertainment? What kind of things do you most like to do around town? And are there any interesting places to visit nearby? One thing's for sure, I love seafood, so I'll be spending a lot of time in the local restaurants. The only problem is, I'm so excited I can't wait to come visit you before the course starts in September. I know you usually take your holidays in July, but you might be planning to go away then. If that's the case, could you let me know of another time we can get together? Really looking forward to hearing from you. It's very important to recognize that points 1, 2, and 3 define the structure of your letter. In other words, you should write one paragraph for the subject mentioned in each bullet point and try not to mix the subjects up. Keep them separate. The paragraphs should also be roughly the same length as one another. Number 1. Greet your friend and tell him or her the good news about the course. Number 2. Ask your friend about life in a seaside town. Number 3. Arrange a time to visit your friend before you start the course. So, in paragraph 1, you need to do 3 things. Say hello to your friend. Give him or her the good news. And say a little bit about your course. It's important not to make your greeting too short, but to extend it a little by asking how your friend is doing, or saying you hope that all is going well. Try and be creative. There are many things you can say to make your introduction sound interesting. Similarly, when giving your good news, it's important not only to say how you feel about it, but also to show how excited you are that you'll be living in the same town as your friend for a while. It's a good idea to mention this in the last sentence of your first paragraph, because mentioning the town will introduce the place your questions will focus on in paragraph 2. You could begin paragraph 2 with a question or statement which shows you would like to know what life is like in the town. You can ask about food, the people, the things to do and see, but try not to make the paragraph too long. The model answer uses a mix of questions and statements to show your interest. In the final paragraph, your task is to try and arrange a time to visit your friend. Although you can do this by suggesting a time which is likely to be convenient, it is important to ask your friend to suggest a time that would suit him or her best. Again, the model answer gives a good example of how to do this. Now, let's take a look at the academic writing task. To achieve a good band score in Task 1 of the IELTS academic writing task, you'll need to give a good introduction and overview of a graph, map, chart, process, or diagram. Giving an overview is particularly important. If you don't provide an overview, your score will not rise above a band 5 under the criteria of task achievement. It's very important to understand this point because failing to provide an overview is by far the most common mistake test takers make in academic writing task 1. Many test takers confuse an overview with an introduction, so let's start by clearing up this misunderstanding by defining these terms in the context of this part of the IELTS test by looking at one of the most common types of diagrams used in the IELTS academic writing task 1, the line graph. An introduction in academic writing task 1 is an opening sentence which acts as a summary of what any given diagram represents. It's important to remember that in your introduction, you can't use more than 2 consecutive words, apart from prepositions, articles, numbers, and conjunctions, from the question without being penalized. This means that the same information must be expressed mainly in your own words. In other words, you need to paraphrase the first sentence of the question. Let's look at the task description of a line graph to see how this works in practice. This line graph shows the number of international students attending 2 higher education institutions in Ontario between 2000 and 2015. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. The opening sentence states, "The graph shows the number of international students attending 2 higher education institutions in Ontario between 2000 and 2015. To paraphrase the sentence successfully, knowledge of synonyms is very important, so it's a good idea to lay out 2 columns with words you need to paraphrase. This will give you the model introduction. Note that you do not have to paraphrase every word. You only have to make sure you do not repeat more than 2 main words, i.e. nouns, adjectives, or verbs in the same sequence as the question. So here, it is perfectly okay to write international students, just as it appears in the question. It should now be clear that the job of the introduction is to show what any diagram, in our case a line graph, represents. The purpose of the overview is quite different. The job of the overview is to describe in 1, occasionally 2 sentences, the main trends or features of our graph. It should not go into any great detail, but you should emphasize the overall message the graph is telling us. So, how do you do this? You do this by looking at the beginning point of the graph on the left and the end point on the right and asking yourself, what is the difference between the information at the beginning point and the information at the end point? In our example graph, the main difference is that overall, the numbers of students attending the 2 higher education institutions in Ontario between 2000 and 2015 went up, with the biggest increase occurring among those international students attending college, shown by the blue line on the graph. This can be described as a dramatic increase, from around 300 students to 4,500. While the red line, despite a slight decrease in student numbers between 2010 and 2015, still went up considerably, from around 1,700 to 3,200. It is clear from the graph that overall the number of students attending both institutions went up during this period, with the college showing the biggest increase in student numbers. Of course, other graphs may well be giving us a different message. For example, another graph may show very little difference between its beginning and end points, or its end points may show a decrease overall rather than an increase. However, the principle is the same and the overall message of your overview will be defined by looking at the beginning and end points of any particular line graph to see what changes, if any, have taken place overall. The next question to consider is, where do I put the overview? An overview can go in one of 2 places, either in the first paragraph following the introductory sentence as shown, or in the conclusion as a final summary. The choice is yours. The The only thing you have to remember is to include it in at least one of these two places. So, there you have it. Tips that will help improve your IELTS writing score.
That was for writing task 1, both general and academic. I hope that was very clear, and especially for the most of you probably would be taking the academic. That was a very good strategy that you really have to follow. Like first, you have to remember paraphrasing. The skill of paraphrasing is very important because you have to paraphrase for your introduction and then come up with the overview. So your overview, once you have the great overview, that would actually lead you to a better body, because the overview would somehow summarize what you are going to talk, particularly in the body of your essay. Okay, so the overview can be at the beginning, like right after your introduction, or it could be the last portion of your writing task 1. I hope that's clear. Now let's move on to writing task 2.
In this video, we're going to look at the IELTS writing test, and in particular, how to approach writing task 2 to get your best score. In task 2 of both the IELTS academic and general training tests, test takers write an essay of at least 250 words in response to a point of view, an argument, discussion, or problem. However, the style of the two essays is different. In the academic test, you're asked to write a university-style essay. Your language should be fairly formal in terms of grammar, style, and vocabulary. The general training test essay is written with a more public audience in mind, so you can write in a more informal style. Questions on the academic writing paper deal with university-level material and deal with subjects like general science and technology. General training test questions focus more on popular topics you might see in newspapers or magazines. But there are many examples of essay questions which could appear in both academic writing tests and general training tests. The difference is more in the required response. Formal for the academic test essay, informal for the general training test essay. One common problem is timing. Task 2 is worth 66% of your overall score, so is more important than Task 1. So make sure you leave yourself the full 40 minutes on Task 2 by not spending too much time on Task 1. Two of the most common problems you might have are: number 1, not understanding what the question is asking you to do, and number 2, not understanding which style, grammar, and vocabulary to use. To do well in writing Task 2, the first and most important thing you need to do is understand what type of question is being asked. Unless you can do this, your response will be poor. So let's look at some tips for understanding the main essay question types. There are 5. Problem solution, agree, disagree, advantages, disadvantages, discuss both points of view, giving an opinion. Here's a typical problem solution type question from a general training writing test.
A recent study shows that an increasing number of boys are dropping out of high school early to study online. What are the reasons for this? What solutions can you suggest to reverse this trend?
The opening statement presents a social problem, and there are 2 questions. First, what is the reason for the problem? And second, what solutions can you think of to solve the problem? As a general rule, you should begin all Task 2 essays by re-expressing the opening statement in your own words. For example, the reason that an increasing number of boys are dropping out of high school early to study online is... So this would be your introduction. You should then divide the main body of your essay into 2 paragraphs. The first would deal with the reasons for the problem, and the second would be a description of possible solutions. Agree, disagree questions generally begin with a controversial statement followed by a question asking you how much you agree or disagree with it, like this one.
One of the best ways to fight climate change is to introduce a carbon tax on gasoline. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement?
In this case, the important word is extent. You're being asked to show how much you agree or disagree with an argument, so the language you use needs to reflect this. Advantage-disadvantage question presents a two-sided factual statement.
Nowadays, many people looking for a dog as a pet prefer to get their animals from a rescue shelter rather than a dog breeder. What are the advantages and disadvantages of doing this?
You'll need to give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. Usually there are a balanced number of pros and cons to the action being described, and this balance should be shown in your response. The first paragraph dealing with the advantages of the action and the other with the disadvantages. The discuss both points of view essay question comes in two forms. The first is shown in this academic test question.
Some people believe that university tuition is an investment in a country's future and should be free for all. Others believe that tax money could be better spent in other ways. Discuss both of these views.
This type of essay question always presents two options. The most important thing to remember is that it's asking for a balanced response. This means spending equal time on the two sides of the argument. So, in this case, the first paragraph would deal with the argument for free university tuition being an investment in a country's future, and the second paragraph would spend an equal amount of time on possible better ways to spend tax money. Please note that this question does not ask for your own views, so do not give your own opinion. However, the second form of the discuss both points of view essay question often contains the sentence, discuss both points of view and give your own opinion. In that case, you would need to write 3 paragraphs, with the third paragraph explaining your own preference, together with the reasons for it. Finally, the giving an opinion essay is similar to the agree-disagree type of question. These usually open with some kind of controversial statement on which you're asked to give your opinion. This academic writing test question is a good example.
Certain endangered animals are being put in zoos as a way of protecting, studying and displaying them to the general public and to raise awareness of their unfortunate situation. In your opinion, is this a positive or negative trend? Give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience.
Here you don't need to present a balanced argument. Instead, you can express your opinion freely. However, you must justify your opinion by giving a reason for every point in your argument. When writing your conclusion for task 2, there are 2 important things to remember. Number 1, never add new information or material. And number 2, just give a short, simple, one-sentence summary of the main points of your essay. If you follow these 2 pieces of advice, your conclusion will be fine. So, there you have it. Tips that will help improve your IELTS writing task 2 score.
There you go. That's writing tasks 1 and 2. Now, remember for task 2 in writing the essay, there are different types of essay, and that is why preparation is necessary before taking the test, because we have to make sure that you know how to approach, how to write a certain essay in a particular question, in a particular type of question, because you might be answering a discussion essay in a style of an opinion essay. It shouldn't be like that. Sometimes students they know how to write something. They can write a full-blown essay, but not answering the question fully. It's just partially. That would not also lead you to a better score. And it is very important what type of essay and what kind of approach or strategy or methods that we can use in a particular essay that we are answering. That's the most important thing in writing. Now, when you are with our regular class, for example, well, each writing task will be discussed. The last section, the speaking section. Now, this time, I would like you to participate because this is speaking. So you have to speak. Whoever wants to or who would like to participate later on in our activity for the speaking. Okay, this is the last section. Yes, Mr. Abdullah?
I just wanted to say there is no choice. They supposed to participate at least just a little to, because they will do the test sooner or later. So, it is highly recommended to participate in this, part. Just want to give this comment. Thank you, Mr. Janelle.
Thank you. Let's proceed. Okay, the speaking section. Before anything else, before you talk, let me talk. Now, the IELTS speaking test is a discussion with a certified examiner. So, it should be a certified one from the British Council, from IDP. So there are like two, how do you call this, companies conducting the test, the IDP and the British Council. Then the test is, oh yes, it is into 3 sections or 3 parts. Each part takes about 4 minutes. Part 1 and 2, the examiner used, like, there's a script in there. You would not see the questions. But in part 2, there will be like a cue card. So you can see the question in part 2. Now, let's move on to part 1. What would happen here? The examiner would ask the candidate to go to like questions related to everyday topics or familiar topics. Could be like vacation, or what is that, like favorite colors, work, education. So something like that. And then questions could vary from different topics. So it could be there, it's holidays, friends, going out, festivals. In part 2, this time you'll be given a cue card. So there's a specific topic that you have to talk about for about 2 minutes. So take note, here in part 2, you have about 2 minutes to answer. Then you'll be given a 1-minute preparation before answering that one. So don't worry, you still have like a minute to prepare, right? So topics could be your personal experience, like could be your most memorable day, or a significant person, your favorite movie or pet, or like something like that. Then it will be like there could be follow-up questions later on, and that would lead to part 3. Now, part 3 is a 2-way discussion. So you have to discuss with the examiner, and to further like elaborate, for example, like you express yourself. So because he has, or the examiner has like a sequence of, or like questions there, and then sometimes he might not follow what's written there. He might just like or he or she, it depends on your examiner, might just ask you questions related to the answer you have given. So that's how it is done there. In part 3, this is more of like you're free to talk, like there. It's how do you call it? Like it's a normal conversation. Okay, so don't worry. Especially most students are afraid with a speaking test. Okay, now here we go. How the candidate is evaluated for your speaking. Well, of course, the examiner is the one to evaluate you according to the IELTS speaking descriptions. And then that could range from band score of 1 to 9. If you don't speak at all, 0. Okay, now you'll be evaluated with fluency and coherence. What is this all about? This is your ability to keep talking with the right speed. Now, take note, right speed, it means not very fast, because the tendency, others would, okay, maybe I could get a better score if I talk so fast. No, it should be just normal. And of course, how good you're able to connect your ideas together. It is very important, not just like, okay, I can talk fast, but no sense at all. No, that is not the fluency and coherence. And generally, if of course it would evaluate like the relevance. Is it related? is your answer related to the question? Maybe you can answer as fast as you can, but not related. So it would not get a better score. Lexical resource. What is this all about? Simply means vocabulary. This is to test your ability to use wide-ranging vocabulary, but not necessarily like very difficult ones. Nope. So the most important thing here is like it's the appropriate word for particular topic. Okay. Now, if you're able to show that you're able to make use of that, then more effectively or correctly, appropriately, then you can have a better score for lexical resource. Grammatical range and accuracy. This one does not mean to have a perfect grammar. No, even the native speakers, they also commit mistakes with their grammar. Okay, so it's okay not to have a perfect one, but you should be able to use different structures, not just like simple sentence, or complex. You can combine, okay? And then what else? Of course, whether it also considers the communicative functions of the speech. So it should be understood and you're able to use the right structure, the accurate one, not like almost perfect. Then pronunciation is also evaluated with your speaking. So what is this all about? Simply how you pronounce or enunciate the words correctly or properly. So that's the thing here. The listener can understand what you are saying. They don't have the difficulty to like, oh, what is that all about, right? So here it's kind of like particular with some like whether the listener was able to understand or not. Okay, and could be accent. No, accent is not really that a big deal here. It's okay to have your own accent, but the most important thing, whenever you speak, whenever you say something, it is well understood, and that's pronunciation. Okay, let's have the tip before we do the exercise.
Each of the three parts pose their own problems for test takers. In part 1, for example, feeling initially nervous can prevent fluent speech. In part 2, the ability to keep going could be a problem. And in part 3, not understanding the examiner's question might cause confusion. Of all the problems in the IELTS speaking interview, fear of freezing or not knowing what to say next is common to all parts of the test. With that in mind, let's have a look at some useful tips to overcome this difficulty. Let's suppose that in part 2 of the speaking test, you are giving the following topic. Describe a work of art you like. A test taker could talk about where it is, when they first saw it, what they understand about it, why they like it. 3 main problems could occur with a topic like this. The test taker might only have a general or very little interest in works of art. They might assume that work of art refers only to paintings, a subject they don't know much about, or they might simply not be able to remember a work of art they admire. Freezing can occur in all these cases. One way of dealing with not having much to say about a topic like this is to speak about it from another person's point of view, perhaps a friend or a family member who likes a particular work of art. When doing this, first, be honest with the examiner by saying something like, actually, I don't have much interest in works of art, but I know my sister loves Michelangelo, and then go on to describe something that she admires. A second way of dealing with this problem is to talk about it from a negative point of view by explaining why you don't have much interest in works of art. The examiner is not interested in your personal opinion, only how well ideas are expressed. Finally, talking about something related to the topic, such as a film or a book about an artist, actor, or musician will help, as these are all connected in some way to works of art. The speaking test is your chance to show off your English skills, and armed with these tips, you'll do brilliantly. So there you have it, tips that'll help you improve your IELTS speaking and listening score. Try putting these tips into practice every day and visit takeielts.org.
There you go. Now, there's a question here in the chat. Will the examiner ask question or have conversation about something I don't have any information? In part 2, that is why it's very important to prepare, because there are some topics that you don't really have the idea. And there are a lot of topics in the IELTS. So, and that is why, like in the tip a while ago, especially if you don't really know that thing, be honest. Well, I'm not really sure about this, or I'm not really familiar with this topic, but it should not stop you that if you don't know that kind of topic, that, oh, I cannot say anything. No, there is a speaking test. You're already there in the test. You have to speak, whether you like it or not. So it is very important. Okay, now let's do the exercise. I'd like a volunteer. Not this one. Wait, I have to. Who would like? Let's do a speaking task 1. Oh, this is very easy. Now, speaking task 1, all you have to do is to answer the question appropriately with confidence, and then try to be like to establish in a normal pace, in a normal way. You don't need to be fast. So who would like to volunteer for task 1 questions? Or you'd like task 2? Anyone? Sarah, yes, Sarah, go ahead. You can unmute yourself, Sarah. Thank you so much for, yes, yes. Hi, how do you do? Okay, now for everyone, we will be doing task 1 of the speaking test. Okay, in the real test, in the actual test, usually you'll be asked about your passport, your identification first. Okay, so they would ask you that, and they would let you introduce yourself. Then, after which, you'll be asked questions, like simple questions first. So we will do it for Sarah. Okay. Sarah, let's talk about your work or studies. Are you a student or do you work?
Okay. Actually, I'm a fresh graduate. So I'm fresh graduate from Prince Mohammed bin Fahd University, mechanical engineering. Right now, I'm looking for a job. So an entry-level job that will apply my knowledge, my skills, and my experience in bachelor's degree, and my work experiences in the while I was working as a co-op training. That's it.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, what do you think of Sarah's answer? You can you can chat. Okay, what do you think of Sarah's answer? Was it good? Was it okay? Yeah, for Mariam, she said it's good. Only one comment. Yeah, so very good from Hadil. Okay, not enough. Someone said it was great. Okay, well, To tell you frankly, to tell you honestly, Sarah's answer was kind of good, but can still be improved. Why? Because she has a little bit of hesitations. She was not able to maintain the speed. For example, she paused for quite some time, and that is why the I timed it. It's around 45 seconds answering that question. Now, the technique for task one, for example, when you answer the question without like a bit of hesitation, you can just go ahead. Put in mind, you have 30 seconds to answer. 30 seconds. Don't go beyond that one, like a minute answer. That's too long. 2 to 3 sentences would be good enough for task one. So that's the thing that you can do in 30 seconds. You can have at least 2 to 3 sentences in a particular topic, and the most important thing, you you don't show that you are afraid. The good thing with Sarah, actually, she tried. That was a very good try, and she was not afraid, though just a bit of hesitation in there. But with constant practice, with now the most important thing that you can do, actually, if you're not practicing with a teacher, record yourself. I also did that one many times in the past. Right? Record at the beginning, it could be like awkward listening to your own voice, but later on, you'll get accustomed to it, and you'll be like, "Oh, I'd like to record again." In that way, you would know whether it's the same or there's a little bit of improvement. Okay, so now in the question, like, do you work or are you a student, for example, the actually Sarah was just okay. The answer was, she said like, oh, I'm just a fresh graduate, so I'm currently looking for something like suitable for her job, for her like major, for example. So that's a good trail of thoughts. Okay, that's already like you started with that, and congratulations, Sarah. Just more practice, and I know you can do better.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Who else would like to for part one? Part one, because there's part two. Let's go to part two. Okay. Who would like to volunteer for part two? For part two, it should be at least 2 minutes. 2 minutes to answer in part two. In part one, actually, there is no time frame for that. But it's the best advice is that, okay, just put in mind you have 30 seconds to answer for each question there to be safe. But for part two now, 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes, but you have 1 minute to prepare. So who would like to volunteer for part two question? Everyone. Nobody would like to. we 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 won't finish our workshop. Oh, another hand. It's Sarah again. Maybe like another person. I'd like another person. Is it okay? From the students, like. Hmm. Who's there? iPad AA, Hadil, maybe Hadil. You can give a try. Hadil, you can try part 2. Don't worry. Yes, let's have a deal for part 2. Yeah, I will show you. In part 2, you will have the question. So don't worry, Hadil, you'll have the guide for part 2. The part 2 question is this. There. The question is, describe a special event or festival that you liked. You should say what the event was, where it was, what happened, and say why you liked it. Who would give a try? If Hadil is not available, let's have iPad. What's your name again, iPad? I forgot.
My name is Amal.
Okay, so I'll give you 1 minute. Okay. While she is preparing for a minute, I want everyone also to prepare for a minute. Think of something there in your mind, a special event or a festival that you liked. So you have the choice, a special event or a festival. You have 1 minute. Everyone has 1 minute to prepare.
But this question about what?
The question is about a special event. Any event that is special to you.
Okay.
Okay, so 1 minute to prepare first. Are you ready? You have 2 minutes to deliver your answer. If you're ready, you can start answering now. Go ahead.
Okay. What the event was? My graduation of university.
Go ahead.
Yeah. A few place is the university, and my parents make party for me. That's it.
You still have time. Go ahead.
2 minutes?
Yes. Anything else there in mind? So you mentioned about a party. What was that party?
Yeah, my parents make me a party because I graduate from university.
And what happened? What they prepared?
I don't know.
Okay, that's a good try. Thank you for volunteering or like for trying. Yes. Someone raised the hand. Yes. Who else would like to try? Is anyone there who is able to prepare an answer? Now, a while ago, she mentioned about a graduation. So the event was, the special event was graduation, and there was like a party. Now, it could be a graduation party or the graduation ceremony. It could be you can choose between the two, a special event. And then what you have to do is you introduce. First is to introduce the topic. What is the topic all about? What is that particular event that you would like to talk about? And then you follow. All you have to do is to follow the bullet points. The first question, what the event was. So you already mentioned that one probably in your introduction. And then try to give a particular detail of that, where it was. Probably it's at home or somewhere outside at the restaurant. What happened? Or it could be what happened. So your family members prepared something like really a great, how do you call that one? Like great celebration for you. They killed a sheep or whatever, a cow, or like sacks of chickens or whatsoever. Like what the family members probably like did, like what happened, you have to describe. Now remember, part 2 is description. Describe. So descriptive adjectives are very important. Okay, so descriptive adjectives are very important here. Describe it vividly. What happened exactly? But just limit it not to like into a very detailed one. And the last one, why you say and say why you liked it, why you liked the event. So you give the reasons. So here in giving the reason, you can actually elaborate further your idea or that thing by giving at least 2 to 3 reasons, at least 2 to 3 reasons. And with that, you can continue or you can have the answer within the limit, or like within 2-minute delivery. That would lead you to that kind of answer. Now, who would like to try? Somebody? Mariam, yes, go Mariam.
Okay, hi.
Okay, go ahead. You have 2 minutes to answer.
Okay. A special event for me was my graduation party yesterday, done by my aunties. It was in my grandmother's house. So it was like a surprise for me and my cousin. What happened? We actually started playing music, dancing, and there were some competitions between us. Whoever answered correct gets a random gift. And after that, we start the dinner, and I really enjoy it. Yeah, exactly.
Can you tell us more?
I tell you all my information.
Okay.
I get so many gifts from my brothers that are younger than me, and I'm waiting my biggest gift now. That's it.
A very good try, Mariam. And it's like, yes, like, oh, women are so brave here. How about the man? Would you like to try? Yes, that one, that's already like a good start. You got some ideas there, but again, we have to arrange the thoughts. Okay, we have to make sure that you're able to answer. You have to expand your ideas for you to have like 2-minute answer. So with that, it really needs practice. And of course, with a teacher in class, so in a regular class, you'll have that one. You'll have that kind of practice, like how to answer exactly. You'll be like, okay, oh, this kind of, well, a pattern could be a pattern, but we don't, how do you call it, encourage for you to memorize answers. Like a model answer. So one thing is that's why I don't give a model answer, because I don't want students to just memorize model answers, because the examiner themselves would know whether you're memorizing or not. And that is why in class you have to come up from your own idea, and we have to develop with the teacher, for example, you have to develop the ideas that you have in order for you to have your own answer. So during the test day, you're confident because you know what to do exactly in a particular, or how to answer any questions. Actually, if you have got the pattern in mind, you are familiar with like a method that we can teach you, for example, then any types of questions you can answer in, or any, how do you call that one, topics in part 2, you can confidently answer. Okay, so in class, we will like tackle this one like one by one. Like for example, how to make you an effective introduction. After the introduction, the first bullet point, how many sentences? Could be 1 to 2 sentences related to that bullet point. Another 1 to 2 sentences, 1 to 2 sentences, and the last one, 2 to 3 reasons with 1 to 2 sentences. And that, if you can practice, you'll have a better answer, and you'll be more confident on the speaking day. Okay, thank you for Sarah and Mariam for your participation. Okay, well, if you want to know more how to approach this one, you can have that one in our regular class. Okay, this is the last one, and we are done after this. Okay, let's continue with Sarah. Okay, let me just have my question for part 3. Now, actually, after part 2, when you're able to successfully answer that one, that was all about you, right? So the follow-up question might be like, the examiner would ask you like, did the other people also enjoy this event? Yeah, because in part 2 you were like talking about yourself, right? And then in part 3, Sarah, is it Sarah, right? Why do you think celebrations are important in the society, or in society?
For part 3, there is time, right? 1 minute for prepare. Or
For part 3, there's no preparation time. It's you can answer directly.
okay, can you repeat your question, please?
Why? My question was, why do you think celebrations are important in society?
Actually, there are many advantages of celebrating in our society. Celebrating give us knowing each other, and as well, it gives us a feeling of joy and happiness. And
And you started, yeah. Hadil said to socialize. Very good. See, now, tips here in part 3, for example, Sarah, you got the ideas already. You just have to probably 2 to 3 ideas would be good enough. So it gives us happiness, or you said like that one. Hadil mentioned like to socialize. Yeah, that's one of the reasons. So the question is why. So it means to say you are asked to give reasons. you can come up with 2 to 3 reasons why, or why it is important to celebrate or celebrate, yeah, to celebrate um, or the celebration is important in society, or to celebrate itself, right? So in part 3, there are two general and particular questions. Now, your question a while ago, why do you think celebrations? That's actually direct to you. So you can't. There's no right or wrong answer here. So all you have to do is to come up whatever you feel, whatever you think, the reason why the society has to celebrate, or something like that, or why celebrations are important in our society. You can relate, for example, your own culture, or if celebrations are not particularly celebrated, or uh, it's not in your culture, you can be honest also. Well, to be honest, you can start with general thing. For example, well, celebrations are really important in the society because that's part of the culture and tradition of most people. However, now if you in your culture you don't do that. However, um, in my own society, or in my culture, we don't actually put more emphasis on celebrations, because then you explain that one. Or you can go straightly, if you have 2 to 3 reasons, give reasons why it is important to celebrate. Okay, thank you so much, Sarah, for the answer, for trying to answer. Okay, I think that leads us to now more discussion for this. For example, in speaking and exercises. Well, of course, that would be in our regular classes. Now, for more information or for practice for anything online, you can screenshot this one. If you can visit these websites. This one for the IELTS. So for practice test, you can go to this website. Then what else? And another, this for other skills that you'd like to, especially for speaking and writing. So these are the resources. Actually, if you click this one, it would go to the website. So you can screenshot, and that's the end. Do you have any other questions or clarifications before we call it a day?